Howdy, 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 howdy. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you might be. And this is Mr. David Null, Hawkeye Two Feathers. And I hope you're having a wonderful Saturday evening. It's almost 12 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time on the East Coast of the United States of America. And I'm hoping you've had a wonderful weekend. We've had some strange weather down here in the South, and thunderstorms rolling in when, well, they just weren't there before. So, topic for discussion here tonight, along with some of my other ramblings, has to do with communication. Now, I did a video last week, and it had to do with me going out in the morning time and seeing it. To me, was an obvious UFO. Now, I know folks like, where's the picture, Mr. Dave? Well, I don't have a picture. And basically, what I have to do is you just have to trust me that I wouldn't get online and tell a story like that because it's just not my way. But I was very, 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 very surprised to see that there was this object up in the sky that I could see clear as day in the early morning. The sun hadn't even come up yet, so it was pre-dawn. But very light outside where I didn't need any kind of flashlight or anything to get out in the yard. But so, well, it was interesting that after I made that video and everything, that I basically, maybe I said something in that video because I got creamed the last couple of days. I mean, the energy levels, whatever, they just knocked me down. And I mean, I have literally, wherever I went, whatever I did these last few days in my dream world, feels like somebody dislocated my right shoulder. Unbelievable pain. And I'm like, but I didn't do anything to deserve this. What is going on with this here, you know? So, but during this downtime, and it's really hard sometimes not to be depressed about the amount of downtime that I am required to take sometimes. And it's like, all right, so, but in every time that there's 2 or 3 or 4 days of what I consider downtime, there's always some information that's passed along, or information, or healing, or some kind of understanding, okay? And what I got out of this last several day of, I want to say MIA, I was missing in action in so many ways, because I mean, it was even difficult for me to go out and feed the chickens. So, but with that said, it's like, all right, so what's the message here? All right. The message is, and I have been sort of directed to go and watch old sci-fi programs. Now, I don't need any encouragement to go watch old sci-fi programs. I love it. And I always have. And there always seemed to be a certain part of me that I believed the sci-fi versus, oh my God, that's not real. Don't worry about it. When One Step Beyond came on in the mid 50s, late 50s, they literally, in the credits, they had a team of scientists so that what they were discussing on the television show was actually true and real science. Unbelievable. So I've been led back to watch some of these old black and white series. Like I say, I don't need much encouragement for that. But I'm seeing that they're talking about quarks and the quantum reality back in the day. And I'm like, but wait a minute. I'll be 66 in September here coming up, so a little over a month. And I'm thinking, they're using terminology that's as old as I am, 65 years old. And some folks are just starting to hear it now come to light. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Hang on, so in so many ways, we have been, I say we as a species here on planet Earth, if you hang out with me, this is all woo-woo stuff, okay? And what I mean by that is that, yeah, I'm going to talk about aliens. Yeah, I'm going to talk about contact. Yeah, I'm going to talk about seeing them. Yeah, I'm going to talk about what the implications are. And this is the kind of stuff that's like, all right, well, where's my proof? Well, go back through my channels and you'll see I do have pictures of orbs and things like that. And that is the proof that I have right now. But with this, this is the other side of the proof. The proof is in the old sci-fi programs. I mean, it's like, for example, Fringe was one of the best programs to me as far as talking about different types of realities, crossing timelines, seeing and going into other dimensions, um, using a deprivation chamber in order to achieve certain realistic out of mind body type experiences, Montauk issues, mind control with young children, and experimenting with psychedelic drugs and different types of things. It also comes true in the Netflix with the thing about Stranger Things, I think is the name of it. And here's the issue: these things are real, and they're giving us a glimpse of reality through what's called science fiction. Now, I like to shorten it to sci-fi. It's just easier to say and do. But also by abbreviating it, I can also say, the sci-fi, which is like, it's science that they're trying to get into our psychic, and they're trying to, um, they're actually letting us know what's going on, quite frankly. So watching these things, I'm a big Stargate SG-1 fan, and some of the things in there, um, not being much of a TV fan and watching regular television, it's hard for me to sit down and say, "Woo, SG-1's on right now," or rerun or whatever it is. I'm going to watch this. Yeah, commercial, blah blah blah, and I lose interest. But now that I have Hulu and I can turn on an episode and watch it all the way through, I get the whole episode without being interrupted for the commercials and the downtime and the flashing lights and all of the things that would keep you off of understanding what they're discussing. Now, yeah, they're talking aliens. Yeah, they're talking the bad guys. Yeah, they're talking symbiosis and symbiotics. They're talking about the Gould and how a symbiont is placed into the body and it changes them and they can share this and so forth. Well, you know, if you look around the internet since at least 2005-ish, folks talking about entities entering into their bodies and making them do, or folks saying they're a walk-in, or that they were influenced by an evil demon or whatever. And I look at this and I think to myself, whether or not it's a biological entity of a worm or snake or whatever, as the colonel likes to refer to them, snake in my head. But to that point, though, it's like, but wait a minute. There are so many people who have been invaded. And some would say they've got snakes in their head in the respect that they're really acting way out of the normal. They're not acting as they should, could, or otherwise would be. And so, but these entities are fourth dimensional. Some folks can see these things, other folks can't. But we're seeing people overcome with craziness that's like really hard to describe. I mean, they literally change from being this type of person to something else in the blink of an eye, which is another word that's been being used, by the way. I did a couple of videos about in the blink of an eye, and all of a sudden people are starting to use the same terminology in the same way that I used it in my video about things happening so quickly that in the blink of an eye, your reality can change. And I've been speaking on that. I will continue to speak on it because it's very important. Things are changing. We're in the middle of this. I want to say it's a wonderful flood of energy. I don't know how else to describe it. Um, has it knocked me down and knocked me out? Absolutely. Earlier today, this being Saturday, about 6 hours ago, we had a big spike in the Schumann resonance. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means it's continuing. I've spoke on this before, but anyway, uh, to stick with um, communication, ETs, and so forth, sci-fi. Well, now the information that's been coming in, a lot of us are starting to hear our higher self. We're listening more intently to our higher self. And all right, guardian angel, spirit guide, I'm including these, all right, for, I guess, for the sake of just lumping everything into the same basket. Is one different from the other? Maybe only in perception. Now, something that's been very, very, very pronounced here recently, and I try to speak on things that I see, but others may not, but they're right in front of us. And it has to do with perception. And it's our perception of communication. Ooh, this is a deep one here. How do we how do we perceive our communication skills? Do you think that you're making your point made with whoever you speak with? Are there trigger words that, somebody will say back to you when you go off in a panic or get a little crazy-fied, cray, like I might have a tendency to do, especially in the past. But you say a particular thing during your communication with someone. Now, I'm assuming that you're trying, when I say communication, let me be a little bit more specific about this. Now, I use that on purpose. It's an inside joke. Specific reason. If you're trying to sway a person to say, like, for example, 9/11, something other than two planes caused those towers to come down. Now, you can debate all you want to as to how, but the common core to that would be it wasn't two jet airplanes. It wasn't kerosene jet fuel. It wasn't all of these other things. Something else happened, and they're covering it up. Those are two absolute truths because of the evidence. Now, if this person that you're trying to speak to, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. Well, no, the conspiracy is the cover up. But now, if the person that you're trying to communicate this information with, they've already been triggered. Because if they don't understand those two core facts, that something else other than did two jets fly you into them? That's not the argument. It's that the jet fuel didn't bring those two towers down. That is the truth. It can't. And the other thing is that, well, there are other things too. But to the point, though, that the truth is being covered up. Now, is it their government? Is it blah, blah, blah? That's not my point. My point is, can you get someone who is in total disbelief of something, at least to look at the facts? Stop with the plane. Stop. Okay, fine. Don't tell them, oh, it was a drone instead of a plane. Stay off of that. Just go to a couple years ago, there was a big fire in Dubai or something. There was a great big fire in a high rise in England, in London, I believe, a year or so ago. And I mean, these buildings didn't burn down, and they burned for hours and hours and hours and hours. They didn't fall. They didn't, they didn't topple. So there is evidence of high-rise apartments burning longer than the Twin Towers did, further down, which engulfed more of the towers. So, but if you try to go any further than that, say, look, I don't believe that it was the gasoline from the jets, and just stick to that. Just stick with one point and forget about the rest of it. Say, but I saw that building burn. It burned for a day and it didn't fall down. What about this building? What about that building? Those are simple facts. So you don't go into anything else. So with your communication skills, can you just pick one thing, or will your mind, your conspiracy theorist mind, who's been through all these other facts, are you going to blurt out all these other stuffs, and then this person's going to go, you lost me. I don't believe any of it. So in communication, are we flooding the people we wish to like bring to our side, which is just being awake, pay attention to the facts, whether or not you believe it was a drone or a plane or whatever. You don't have to go there. Just show the facts about do you know what jet fuel is? It's kerosene. Do you know what this does? Do you know how many gallons? And have you just stick with one thing. Don't even mention Building 7 that fell by itself at, several hours later. Forget about all that, because that's going to confuse your issue. So now what about something else? What about space aliens? Well, you can say this, that, the other things, blah, blah, blah. My point to the sci-fi is this. There are directed energy beams shown in lots of different platforms of sci-fi. What's going on in California right now and last summer with all the fires and the houses catching on fire from the inside out, like they're being nuked, microwave. This is communication. These nasty folk are trying to communicate to us that we don't know what we see. Move along. There's nothing to see here. At the same time, if you watch any kind of sci-fi at all, you're going to see what they're doing, what they're using in all of the previous black and white sci-fi. As I go back in history and look at the earlier sci-fi, I think to myself, they're talking about quantum entanglement. They're talking about ESP and being tuned into this quantum field. Unbelievable amounts of science that was spoken directly to the viewer back in the 50s and 60s. Well, that's my era. So when I watched these programs, I think in my brain, I was brainwashed. But I was brainwashed with scientific fact, because back then you can look in the credits and it'll say National Science Foundation, blah, 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 professor of hermatology, whatever it is. They were using science to produce their science fiction. Why is this important? What's this got to do with communication? Well, because they, whoever they are, in making movies, telling stories, writing books, all of this is science fiction. It's becoming true. Now, what's this got to do with now? It's because the science is catching up with the fiction. And as I've spoke about before, there are things that I dreamed and wrote short stories about years ago that I just got out of the quantum. I was just listening to that cosmic radio station, and I came up with some really righteous, crazy dreams. And one of them had to be, I wish I could find the date now, but I had a house burned down and a lot of my stuff got destroyed. So all of my early works and short stories and things of the 60s, 70s, and early 80s was burned down in 1982. So anyway. But with that said, though, one of the stories that I clearly remember was that it was a Stargate of such out in space. And that once we as humans left the planet, we found this thing just kind of sitting out there beside Jupiter or something. I don't know. It was out, I can't remember, between Mars and Jupiter, I believe. There was, there are outposts, by the way, in the asteroid belt. And some of the asteroids are not asteroids, they're spaceships. Now they look like rocks, they're hollowed out. Some of these things are actually grown, hollow, and they carry people, things, stuff. And it's like, yeah, I know. That's really wild and really woo woo, and it's really way out there. Do I have proof? Yeah, look at our moon. Look at our moon. Yeah, it doesn't rotate, doesn't spin. It stays facing us all at one time. Now, a lot of us have been noticing this, that the moon's been going doing this jostling thing with the face. I mean, one time it came up with the face on one side, and by the time it set 6 or 7 hours later, it was upside down, and that poor old man in the moon was going to drown, from what the old timer said. So it's like many of us have been taking pictures of the moon. When I had my better telescope, I could see the spaceships crossing in front on the face of the moon on a regular basis. Lots of people have been catching these things. This is not something new. Now, the other day when I saw that UFO type thing from my location here in South Georgia, I was surprised because I hadn't seen that type of craft, but craft it was. And there is no doubt I've been back through it in my mind, and it's at least two or three, at least the size of two 747s, and I would actually say three, but square, clearly seen. Now, at the same time, I got a message later on that day, if you will, in a download that said, there are people who are seeing these objects but are afraid to discuss it. That's part of the communication. People are like, that, oh crap, I can't talk about that. People are going to call me crazy. Well, but that's okay. They've been calling me crazy for years. They've been calling a lot of us crazy for years. Why? Because we're talking on a subject that is, in most people's images, science fiction. When actually, a lot of these stories are based on science facts. Why is this important? Because it's part of the communications. People are talking about, ooh, we need disclosure. If you want to watch, if you want to see disclosure, I invite you to go rent Hulu for a month or whatever. I haven't seen it on Netflix, but not that it's not there. But anyway, and watch the Stargate SG-1 series. Some of them don't pertain to a whole lot, but others are like dead on the money with the science. I mean, Major Carter was talking about the blonde girl, Amanda Tapping, blue eyes, blonde hair. She's the physicist of the group, and she's talking about quantum physics and how Daniel Jackson has ascended and then came back into a physical form again, and that whether or not he may be having ESP, wait, wrong character, sorry. There was another character who took Daniel's place. Jonas, I think, was his name, the character. But he was being able to see things a couple of minutes before it actually happened. So precognition. Well, there are those of us, I've had dreams for a bunch of years, and this stuff is coming true. Can I prove any of it? No, other than the fact that I've been talking about this for years. Here it is. Here's some more science. And this is the communication I'm getting, that folks are going to, like, they're going to freak out when some of this stuff comes out. And when these energies hit us, when, not if, but when they hit us, when they change us, when our mind changes, when our point of view changes, when our reference point to reality changes. I mean, I sit here at my house and I look around, well, this is my reality. Okay. And I haven't left my reality for over a week now with flat tires, dead batteries, rain, thunderstorms, and roof leaking. Okay. I'm still here in this spot. Would love to go get a gallon of milk, but that's another story. Our communication skills with one another. Some folks have gotten to the point now where things are so unbelievable. The only communication they can have with another human being is by screaming, is by hollering at them, is by whatever, which is really a shame. So it's important that folks, we need to maintain our decency with one another, because these things that are coming to light, I mean, the other day, a week or so ago, some kind of big thing hit Greenland near an Air Force base. Now, an Air Force base in Greenland, that could just be coincidence. But, whoops, there was something that supposedly fell a month ago as well. So are some of these underground bases, one of them supposed to be up around in Greenland, a U.S. base? Was it under attack from an alien spaceship, or was something taken down, or whatever? Well, we may never know that. But the thing is that these things are happening. And there's so much information and so many people now that can say, "Ooh, did you hear about that? Ooh, did you hear about that?" So we are communicating one another. Did you hear about that meteor? Did you hear about the eruption of what you call it? Did you hear about the da da da? So our communication between each other is important. How we give that information is also important. Because if somebody thinks you're a nut job, like me, then they're going to be less likely to listen to you. So it's like, okay, I do the best I can because I respect all people. If you're a flat earther, I'm okay, but I'm a globalist. I'm a round earth type person. And because I've seen it from space is the best way I can explain it, plus other things too. But I would rather not even have the discussion, because you're not going to change my point of view. And I'm not going to argue with you, because if that's what you believe, okay, fine. But it's your choice to believe that Earth is flat, not mine. That is your perception of the planet and what the Earth is. It's flat. I don't get how the ring, I don't get it. We're a disk floating in space. I don't get it. We're a snow globe is how I look at it. And I'm sorry, but I don't think that the Earth is a snow globe. But that's your opinion, and I'm going to just leave it at that. But now folks want to fight with me about it, like, but you're wrong. I'm sorry, but you don't know that I'm wrong. It's your perception of what is real. And for you to condemn me or anyone else because we refuse to go along with your perspective, you just say, fine. But people are still like, I can't believe you still believe in a round Earth. You know damn well and good it's flat. You know this is wrong. And you know when you do a such and such. And even astronauts are like, well, okay, fine. I happen to believe in my world with my telescopes, my observations for all these years. My world is round. My universe is round-ish. The planets are round-ish. Things in the universe in science, when a drop of water comes out of an eyedropper, it forms mostly a circle. I mean, it's what things happen in nature. When you look at cells in the human body, they're mostly round. These are my basic, a flat earth doesn't fit my paradigm. It's okay if you believe it, though. I'm not going to call you an idiot for it, but at the same time, you should respect my continued observations of my perspective of this universe, of this matrix. Now, what's happening is with these different types of communication, it's like, well, we can all agree that NASA's been lying to us, and that is the key to the flat earth thing. We've been lied to about certain things. We don't get pictures of the earth from space. We get this conglomerate thing. I always thought that the picture of the earth from the moon, the earth was too small. We're closer than that. I mean, they put the perspective of the earth if we were standing on the earth looking at the moon. And the earth's much bigger than the moon. But when standing on the moon looking back, here's this tiny blue ball planet thingy. And I always thought that was off. Wait a minute, it should be bigger. If you're standing on the moon, the earth should look huge. I mean, it should be like really big. And it's not. And so it's perspective. They have altered our perspective by their intervention into our matrix. They're trying to make my matrix, your matrix, everyone else's matrix go along with theirs. So it's like, well, in your eyes, you think that the earth is flat, and here are your reasons. Okay, but that's your perspective. Now, in our communication with one another, what we agree on is that we've been lied to about a lot of the science, about a lot of the spaceships, about a lot of other things. Now, if you actually took a ride out into the cosmos and looked back and saw a round planet and the moon and everything looked normal in perspective, you might say, I guess they fooled me. And I could be the same way. You could take me out into space and go, here's this great big flat disk with a dome over the top, and we're living in a snow globe, Dave. Okay. But the thing is that I'm going to keep my mind open for even a third possibility. I don't know what that third possibility is, but I'm going to keep my mind open for that. Why? Because science, there's so much that's going on. So many people are seeing so many things. The science is blossoming in so many ways. The discussions on the quantum and the this and the da-da-da, nanoparticulates and all of these things. This is being communicated to us. These are the galactics talking through all of these other different medias as to what's going on. And you say, yeah, it's just sci-fi, Dave. Well, but if you look around in your real world, you see these things happening. I mean, I grew up in the era where, Dick Tracy wristbands were the TV and like two-way communicators. In less than 100 years, roughly, Dick Tracy goes back a long way, the original cartoon. But to the point, where did they come up with a watch that was a television and that they could have two-way communication? It's very possible them buggers had it back then. They just couldn't mass produce them for the rest of us. These sciences are coming out. Now, people are talking about the RV. Okay. The RV, reevaluation. All right. And I'm speaking with folks who are supposed to be ascended beings and on this higher plane. And I guess I'm going to sound a little critical because I don't understand this. Why are they worried about gold and silver and how much they have? Because the RV is supposed to reevaluate everything. Gold, silver, it isn't going to matter. I mean, paper. I mean, we're supposed to go to a higher plane of thought with this. So then folks are talking about, well, we're going to go to this other system and we're all going to get the RV. We're all going to have enough wealth. What do you mean by wealth? Are you going to be sad unless you hit 1 billion? Or, is 100 grand going to make you happy? If I had $1,000 right now, I'd be tickled to death. But just saying. So in my paradigm, a grand would be like woohoo. Yeah, 100 grand would be more fun. But that's my point is that it would tickle me to death and help me get out of a couple of minor jams I'm in right now, get my teeth fixed, maybe something like that. But to the point though, what does RV mean? Does it mean $1 million for everybody to go spend and spend and spend? Or would an RV mean that you actually got a replicator and that you didn't need to buy anything, even food, that you could replicate it and it'd be just fine? You need clothes, replicate it. You need this, replicate it. You need that, blah, blah, blah. So which would you rather have? A crap load of cash and this and that, or a replicator? I want a replicator. Doesn't have to be a big one. I'd be happy. Size of a, microwave oven. Great. People are saying, well, that's just not there yet. I contend that it is. Because if they could bring it up in all the Star Treks and all these other types of programs, there is science behind what they're discussing. So why would they discuss a replicator type thing if there wasn't sound science somewhere back that actually makes this possible? I say, pay attention. So what's coming out with this communication? Our communication is we need to stick together. When some crazy stuff comes out, and there might be some proof with it or whatever video, my point is those of us who are already aware that things are different in our construct, in our paradigm, in this 3D reality, whatever you would like to name it for us being here now. We're going to have to help other folks not just jump off the cliff. We're going to have to communicate them in a soft voice. We're going to have to be polite to them. But I thought this don't make it. Calm down. Calm down. Some of us have understood this for a while. We thought we were crazy for many, many years, many of us. But now we're seeing these realities come forth and become true. Now, I would partially contend that are we manifesting this? When I have 2 or 3 days of downtime, I know that I'm still concentrating on prayer. I'm concentrating on, because I'm in an eternal meditation for the peace on this earth. I'm just, when I wake up, it's like, today is my day to continue my prayer. Whether I'm awake or I'm asleep, my prayer continues for peace on this planet. And many of us, other beings, people, whatever, are meditating and are living in that same way. Now, I know that most people can't do what I do, as far as, and I have trouble doing what I do, meaning I get laid out for a couple of days, I'm missing in action. I don't know when my last meal was because I can't remember. I'm like, but I eat when I get hungry and I got enough food at the time. But to the point though, my world, my paradigm is dumped out of the old croaker sack and dumped on the ground like so much junk. So it takes me a day or so to figure out where did I go? What did you do to me? Was I in combat? Was I on another mission in a different world? Is my paradigm, and I know a lot of us have discussed this, especially since the first of this year in 2018, in that we literally feel that we have another life in another realm, in another reality, and it's not just a dream. There are smells and tastes and sights and especially feelings that is like I come back to this realm and go, wait a minute, whoa, whoa, I can still taste that egg salad sandwich or whatever it is, you know? This is important. Source, heaven, angels, higher beings, spirit guides, they're all trying to communicate with us right now. Me, I'm trying to have this conversation. I am having this conversation that might help you to at least be aware that this is going on. And you can say, well, that's really far fetched. Yeah. So is the thought of Jesus walking on water. That sounds far fetched. But if you understand quantum mechanics and nano things and whatever and manifestations and so forth, you think, well, wait a minute. Yes, it was a miracle that Jesus got out of the boat and walked on the water, but more to the point, he understood natural law, what I've been calling natural magic. Okay. And it's not really magic, but it is to those who don't know how to do it. It's magic, it's sleight of hand. When Jesus and other prophets and Buddha and so forth discussed these things, they were talking about human nature, human energy, human manifestation of things on this planet, in this realm, etc. But that we had to remember that we were spirit beings at the same time. So this is not a new concept. So why is it any more weird to think that Jesus performed miracles or that Buddha or whoever, and but that science, we can't have a replicator now? In so many words, Jesus used a replicator when he fed the masses. About a couple of loaves and some fishes, he tossed them in the old replicator and handed them out to the crowds. That's crazy, right? Of course it is. But what if that were true in so many words? Jesus understood the power of how to replicate something. Other prophets and other folks, other shamans have done these miracles when actually it's simply the fact that they have been allowed to remember and understand these natural things because we are natural beings. We're here for whatever the purpose. Now, I understand what my long-term purpose is, but there are folks who are like, I don't know why I'm here. It might be that you just came here to experience the earth, period. But the construct of the earth being a prison planet and all these other thingies going on, what should be like just a natural, hey, here I am, gonna live every day, love my family, barn raised with the neighbors. We're gonna have barn dances and clogging and and whatever, and we're gonna live happily ever after. And when my body dies, I go back. Well, in so many ways, it used to be like that. A lot easier, a lot more simpler. But now that the industrial age and the computer age and all this quantum stuff, it's like, okay, here we are now. But that core value still matters. Who we are as individuals, what we do individually, forgetting all the rest of this stuff. So we need to continue to communicate that to our friends, neighbors, and strangers. But we need to be nice about it. And I've seen folks, they're being a lot nicer about it. It's like, and if the person doesn't want to listen, just say, fine, I love you still, if it's appropriate, but then go on. Because time's too short now to worry about those who refuse to listen to anything. I mean, say, look, hey, I know this sounds like woo-woo, but, that might have been an extraterrestrial ship that crash landed in Greenland. Just saying. Now, I really don't know if it was any kind of thing alien or whatever, but from the size of it, the sound of it, and what was going on, something. They didn't report any space rocks that day. Not that it didn't happen, just saying. Now, the Galactics are saying that there was some shenanigans going on. Now, but that's just woo woo. Okay, sci fi. This is Dave's sci fi show. But I'm still getting communication. And the communication is very simple. It's like, people, you need to open up your minds to the fact that there are some really cool things out there. They're going to seem weird as the dickens, and some folks are just ain't going to believe it. But that we folks who have this information, I don't know necessarily say ahead of time, because it's been shown to everybody. Anybody that's gone to a sci-fi movie has the information. It's that everything else is made, they are taught to believe that what was shown to them is an impossibility. You can't go walk through a door and end up on another planet like Stargate does. Well, there have been discussions of jump rooms for a long time. How there's a jump room to Mars where you walk through a door and you end up on Mars when you go on the other side. And but a lot of folks in the military and the thing, but that's all woo woo. That's all woo woo. That's all science fiction. Can't talk about it. Ooh, okay. That spaceship I saw the other day, that wasn't woo woo. That thing was there. And the other things I've seen, they are there. And is it part of our regular, normal reality? No. That's why it's different. It's not part of our regular daily routine for most of us. And that's why we need to keep an open mind. Now, I could really go off on a woo-woo land and talk about some things that I've seen. Going to keep it simple because it is about the communication. It's about our realities, because some of us are being blinked with these flashing lights, having a cell phone next to our head all the time. We're being fed particular types of information to ignore these signs. And the signs are there. The signs in the heavens, the stars, all of it. And yes, in a lot of ways, it's biblical. Yes, in a lot of ways, Nostradamus and especially Edgar Cayce. Right on the money with a bunch of this stuff. Pay attention. I've been given information for years. I'm not Nostradamus and I'm not Edgar Cayce, but I have been shown things and they have come true. So it's like I warned people to get away from the volcano in Mexico, around Mexico City. About a week later, it blew. I don't know the details, but that's not the point. I knew that it was coming. It was going to be one of the next ones. It was, I figured 4 days, it took about 7. That's not the point. Within a week or so, this thing did happen. Now, it's the Earth. I talked about the volcano down in Guatemala. The next day, it went off and killed a bunch of people. Less than 12 hours. So I have spoke on some of these things. When I go up and listen to the cosmic radio, there are things out there, and I get downloads, I listen to it, and then, but like right now, the biggest thing that's going on is that there are ongoing stellar things going on, but the biggest thing is that we, as those of us waking up, we need to continue our patience, continue communicating, and we don't have to agree, but we can agree to disagree. We don't have to scream at each other. We just say, I can't buy that right now, but I'm going to leave it to you. That's how you perceive things, and that's very interesting. And but at the same time, I'm still over here in my camp, but that's okay. However, when the true things come out, and I'm just saying, if the Earth is flat, and they show me that my belief in a round Earth is like poppycock, then I'm going to have to swallow that red pill, if you will. But if it is round, then what are all the flat earthers going to do? Just continue to deny it? Or are you going to take the information and you go, oh, some bitch, it really is round? And I don't mean it's like give in, but our perceptions have been changed so much by misinformation, miscommunication, and downright lies to us. I mean, within the last week, one of the astronauts said we didn't really land on the moon. Okay. It really, and it was the desert in Nevada. Okay. I mean, who keeps wiping off the dust panels off the Mars rover? Haven't heard about the Mars rover recently, or the dust on Mars, by the way. Hasn't been in the news much. Have you noticed? Interesting. Just yeah. So, what does this do? Where does this lead us? What does this sci-fi stuff mean? Well, some of this sci-fi is going to be even more weirdy weird. Now, I've talked about the alien book, the Russian alien book, and I think there was like 72 different alien races that the Russians knew about, made a book, passed it out to soldiers and the KGB back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, maybe even earlier. And that amount of beings on this earth or pass through here or whatever is going to creep a bunch of people out. Some of them are going to be the ugliest looking creatures you ever wanted to see. I mean, but the outside appearance might offend us because we were taught to those things are scary to us in whatever fairy tales they communicated with us in the past. So that this being, I'm thinking like gargoyle kind of thing, or maybe a dragon face or something like that. That these people, that you want to draw a gun and shoot them, when actually those are the good guys. We want to be careful with that. We always shoot first and ask questions later. Well, we're going to shoot the wrong people, and actually we have. That's already happened. But with Independence Day and Independence Day 2, what did they do? They shot down the wrong guy. He was coming in to help, and they shot him down and went, oh, shit. Now what do we do? But see, that's our perspective. That's our perspective. That's how we've been taught. That's what we look at in our paradigm. So with this communication and our communication skills, and by speaking in the positive and being more positive, even though it might be a crappy day, look for the positive in it. Because if you focus on the negative, it's just going to get even worse. So our attitudes, even though it's crappy, we got to keep a good attitude because there are changes. They're being seen. And that's why I'm trying to communicate with you right now. There are changes. They are happening. People are changing. People are calming down. People are having conversations with one another without screaming. That's a wonderful thing. We need to keep up the good work and understand that if you're having some kind of weird, ask your higher self. Just say, hey, I'm having confusion about this. Is there a movie or something I could watch to help explain this maybe, or maybe there's a YouTube video, whatever. And allow you to receive the information, which could be, there's a movie. You might go to sleep and wake up and go, man, there's some kind of movie about a car chase or something. I need to go watch that or something. Or I need to go watch the Star Trek 7 and 9, the Borg. There's something about that. Whatever the thing is. But it might pop to you. The thing is though, if you need to act on it. So if you're getting any types of this when I'm in this respect, when I say extraterrestrial, I mean anything coming from off of this planet, source, heaven, angels. Okay. So, this information is available to us on the quantum all the time. We can hear the reports that are coming in from the different ET races about who's being taken out where and what's going on and what the earth changes are all about. Why are we getting so much rain? Why? I mean, the weather pattern down here in South Georgia, but all along the East Coast, is the weirdest I've seen in a long time. Long time. I mean, just plain strange. Now, I like the rain. I like the cooler weather. We haven't hit above 96 at my house yet this year. Twice it's hit 96, 97, which now it should be like 104. I mean, it's just not complaining. But my point is this is abnormal for this time of year. It's actually abnormal for any time of year, but it's really abnormal for now. So the changes are all around us. So the communication from our spirit beings, from the universe, is being communicated to us with all these natural things that we are observing: the clouds, the storms, the earthquakes, the volcanoes, all of it. These are truth. Did the volcano go off in Mexico City? Yeah, that's the truth. I mean, how bad it was, that's not the point. It went off. Okay. And many of us, you can pay attention to the quantum. You can receive these downloads of information because it's available to all of us. I'm My thing over the years, some folks would like to say, well, Dave, you're extra special. No, I'm not. I'm just a crazy old hippie. That's all. But I have managed to learn how to tune this in and tune out a lot of the other garbage, but to tune this in. It is my desire to hear these things. Now, I tuned it in years ago as a storyteller, as a puppeteer, for inspiration, for storylines, for science fiction stories that I was writing and telling and so forth, and worked real good. But since I'm not in that creative mode yet, I've lost it. Hopefully it'll come back. Um, but this is more important right now. The communication of what's going on in these different realities, in these different planes of existence. I went outside earlier, beautiful clear skies. I haven't seen the Milky Way in a year, and I can clearly see it in the sky now, and it looks fairly normal. Now, what didn't look normal was the fact that Big Dipper, Little Dipper, and Draco the Dragon, I believe it is, kind of creates this constellation circle. It's in my head. They're wrapped around each other, and it's like Draco's way too high in the sky for down here in South Georgia, which I haven't been able to check the stars recently due to the moon, cloud cover, so forth. So I didn't know where the Big Dipper was. Well, the Big Dipper is gone now, which is now I can see the Milky Way. Andromeda strain is coming up. The big square is starting to rise now, and in about 2 months we'll start seeing Pleiades, and we'll start seeing Orion in the night sky or early morning sky. So obviously, yeah, we're heading around. It's that time of year again. What was interesting, though, is that while we're in this change and these earth changes, maintain a positive attitude with your own soul, with your own energy, with your own higher self, with your own spirit guide, angel, source. As crazy as it will get, try to maintain. Oh, son of a bitch, it's a little crummy day. That's okay. Mars is in retrograde. Yeah. It'll be okay. You can come up with any excuse. Now, Mars in retrograde is a really good one. But my point to this, though, is that if we focus only on that negative, then it will be negative. But if we say, damn it, it's a bad day today. The planets must be misaligned. Tomorrow will be better. It'll be better later on today. I mean, but look out of the moment to the next. And if you see this is crappy right now. I'm going to make it better. One way. It will, especially if you deal. Okay, the bad thing goes on for a couple of days because you got an accident, something happened, you have to deal with it. But if you must maintain a positive through the negative, I know it's a little strange, but by keeping your core alive to the universe, to the quantum, to your spirit guide, maintain that contact, because the nasty, evil, bad stuff that comes into our lives, sometimes on a daily basis, sometimes on an hourly basis, depending, but that if we let that break our communication with source, with self, with our higher beings, with our ET beings, with if we allow that communication to be severed. Now, that's our choice. You can say, well, Dave, it was such a rough day. Yeah, but you could have still, instead of getting all involved with whatever went wrong that day, is that you say, damn it, there's shit going on today. I wish it to be better. I wish it to be better. So you make a wish. It's going to be better. I'm going to make it better one way or the other. I'm going to just not let this crap bother me today. I know it's crappy and I'm going to cuss. By the time I get home, I'm going to drop this mess or whatever it is, and I'm not going to be angry anymore. And by tomorrow, I'm going to be even better. But now, if you allow this stuff to eat you up, especially with all these energy changes and the fluctuations in the Schumann resonance, all these things have a hourly, day-to-day, this stuff's going on. I mean, I pointed out before, and maybe not in a recent video, but the Schumann resonance is spiking about every hour over the last few weeks. I mean, there's a pattern. We're getting a boom, a really deep spike. I mean, off the chart spike about once an hour, coming from somewhere. And it is affecting the earth. It's showing up in the earth. It's coming out of the earth and coming back into us. This is happening. So we need to understand, yeah, the waves go bring us up and they also bring us down. Remember, though, that to keep your focus, remember to keep your communication with your spirit, with your quantum source, whatever. It might get really thin. The signal might be really weak, but keep it. Even if there's static on the line and the radio station is being crappy to pick up, whatever. I'm using radio euphemisms here, but to the point, hang in there. Hang in there. We've already gone through a bunch of rough crap. The rest, yeah, okay. But now that we've got the idea, now that we understand what this paradigm and the waves are coming through and the earth, all these things are happening. Now that we understand these things, that the sci-fi is becoming our reality. Now, did they create the sci-fi so that they could create the current reality? In other words, did the sci-fi create where we all wanted to manifest replicator machines, Stargate travel? I mean, I had dreams of Stargate before Stargate ever came out. Nobody ever read, I should say very few people ever read that short story I wrote. But to the point, though, that was in the 80s I wrote this thing. Well before Star Trek, I mean, the idea of some type of Stargate or something, I was like already there, but it was in space, not on a planet. Anyway, but I feel the reason I bring it up is that I was just tapping into the quantum radio station is all. I heard it on a program up yonder somewhere, and that other people heard that, turned it into the Stargate. Okay. So, but if we stay tuned into this higher self, we're going to make it through this. We're going to be okay. Some of us are going to get bruised. I mean, I have no idea why my shoulder's been dislocated. I haven't been anywhere or done anything to dislocate my shoulder. But whatever mission I was on the last couple of days where I was missing in action, I don't know how else to describe it. I mean, I literally haven't been here. I mean, I look around the house and I go, I don't know. I don't know when my last meal was. It's not a complaint. It's an observation. It's like, here I go talking about the aliens and I disappear for 3 days. Okay. It's all good. So, but I'm going to wrap this up. I'm still having issues with, if you're watching this, I can't see any chat room, by the way. It says there are 3 viewers, but I can't see the chat room. I tried, it failed, and I wanted to do this video. So whoever you are, I love you. Whoever's watching, I love you. I'm sorry I can't see the chat. And I'm still trying to work out this dadgum YouTube thingy to where I can screen share and all this other kind of stuff. So bear with me on that, please. I know you understand. My little old Chromebook is still here and it's still functioning now after 3 years. So I got to be nice to it, as much as I cussed it years ago. But I was in the middle of a video and it just quit, rebooted. And then when I rebooted, it brought me back live. That was a really strange one, I tell you. So be kind to one another. As Brian of Milky Way Weekly says, be the frequency you wish to be, or something like that. I'm getting a little reminder download. Honor and integrity are being like hammered in. You know, I've spoken on it. I've discussed it. Honor, integrity, you know, compassion. But it's like, I'm getting this. Remind everybody, you know, we have to be compassionate. Remind everybody that we must honor each other. We should respect each other. That's why I was bringing up the flat earth thing versus this, blah, blah, blah. We need to respect the other guy's opinion, whether we fall into it or not. And we can have discussion as long as it's in a debate type discussion and not calling each other libtards or idiots or whatever. We need to stop with the name calling. That's for one. That's calmed down a lot, I've noticed. I've noticed that people are being more kind to one another in the respect that you may not agree with my view, but you agree to disagree with me. Yeah, okay, fine. I don't believe that, but I'm not going to get, you know, pee in on your party kind of deal, but okay. So we need to keep that, and we need to push it forward, if you will. We need to just, if there's any kind of focus, that what can we push forward, especially for August the 8th, which is Lionsgate, which is, go check it out. It's basically an alignment that happens yearly, having to do with Leo the Lion. Anyway, it's a high energy date. There's going to be mass meditations for that particular day. There on the new moon, there are mass meditations that are going to be happening. So a lot of people putting a lot of good energy. And the biggest thing is that if you want to focus on something, focus on peace and love. If you don't have to, peace upon the earth, peace to all mankind, peace and love to all mankind. If you got to focus on, if you want something, it's like, well, you can say, well, stop nuclear war, stop this, that. Okay. But it all boils down to peace and love. So the focus, without getting all, you know, wookie out on the sides, focus on any type of meditation and just say, today I dedicate my thoughts to peace and love to all mankind. Say that a couple of times during your day. I dedicate today to peace and love of all mankind. That's your prayer. That's your dedication. And if your intent with that is, I really do want peace and love for all mankind, then that's just going to make it even better, especially with a group of us, all of us praying at the same time. All of us. And it's not in the name of anybody. It's not in the name of Jesus or Buddha or Krishna or it's in the name of peace and love, period. Leave the gods out of this, all right? Creator source is listening, and that's what this is about. So, peace, love, honor. Oh, man, honor. Honor one another for who we are. Honor the person for being different, okay? So, with that, I say, short prayer. Creator, I accept and receive all the healing and all the knowledge that is being brought to this planet. I accept and receive all of these wonderful gifts from the source. I accept and receive all of the knowledge to help other people understand that it is very simple to hear the cosmos. You just have to open your ears, open your heart, open your mind, and drop all of the weirdness that's going on in the world and accept the fact that the source, creator source, is with us always, all times. We're always there. So, my prayer to you and to the rest and whoever may listen to this, I send you much, much love from my soul heart and my heart soul to you, to all of you. Pass the love around, pass the peace around, pass the communication around. And if somebody starts to get you riled up and you start to lose your temper or get triggered, stop yourself. It's hard sometimes, I know. Stop yourself. You'll be better for it. Peace, love, out of here. And I'm going to figure out how to do this thingy some more to where I can see the chat and so forth. So, peace out, y'all. Until next time, this is your intrepid host, Hawkeye Two Feathers, that old hippie hermit down here in Southwest Georgia, saying so long for now.